tea break.
Dusi chemu samala. Ani soche person true rivachi yes, and yangchil hebala yangche dusabala trashtilis.
So one of the questions and comments that came up is trying to understand what the region is that we're discussing in terms of the Tibetan Plateau.
Dananga supegi Togan system balaya. Ani de kapsuchi so tudichi kapsuchi lebati truachil hebati karesena ko pegi Togan system bala sache ge chapkon kanadauchi imbaina samege truatil hebsons.
So I've just put up here that the Tibetan Plateau actually covers quite a range. It's called different things in different places. So I don't know how to pronounce all these, but...
Yeah, then I got to pay Togan said that Kota Chaps down, region down, Damdagani, Sube Togan down, Damdam Latch, or Dugu Togan Sano, Bogu Togan Sachi, the Minda Damdagorwa.
And it covers most of the TAR, most of Shanghai, western half of Sichuan, southern Gansu provinces in western China, southern, I don't know, Xinjiang?
Yeah, Xinjiang, yeah.
Bhutan, and the Indian regions of Ladakh, and parts of Himachal Pradesh, and parts of Pakistan, northwestern Nepal, eastern Tajikistan, and southern Kyrgyzstan. So quite a lot of sort of political boundaries it crosses.
Dananga Subegi Togan says Tambalaya Mintita, Chila Chapachita Sharmatope, Kucheba, and Baranga Supepa Nesage, Peron John Chitsungun Kansu, Restaurant Las Opache, and it in Sonkoyom by Bananga Sude and Godowa, Xinjiang, Che, Dru, Cherwa, and a Jaga in Bana Latata, and a Lahu to Spiti, Himache, Nadigite Legdoa, and it in part of Baina, and the Pakistan such a Kachalegdoa, and in Nepal Legdo, Tanamayona, such a gender Kachila Dusta. Chapsati Fichabu Chapuris. Tatela Mindi, Nepugitugans the Tagatwa in Bana, Chapsa Fichabu Chapuris.
I think most of the attendees today can have some roots connected to what is listed here, the Tibetan Plateau.
That is Tabalaya, to big Tugan sounds Tabalaya, Delaya, Tanzushi, Chama in Bana, Data, that Chapsan Dilate Bana, that Ransing Dwana, which is Chadudus.
So this is an example of something that's a place-based activity because it's culturally relevant for most of you here.
That day Karesana Sugeta, New Digila Shibi, Hopsugi, Nambachi Chagores, the Chatan thing at Sulaya, Rijungoten in Doyo Palatin Chagores.
Yeah, even though we're sitting here in Karnataka.
The Danga Desa did the bed, Canada Gadina, Degi or Taimbana, didn't draw Chagores.
Titan, the Dinalo present the Peri present Rangato. The Maybe and the Dinan Tede, Kanyeti, Digi, that Toangi, Yengi, the Chazali, and Namji Yudoki, Kanye, the take order. The situation in it to get some money to the Pension Ladali Manet under the Kanga, the Gama, Glacier, the Gama, Shurche, Kanye to get Doa, and the Delia, that Tachi Haril, some but Shunda, the get Seriba, the get some money to Tumongi, the Kanye Segura. That the day Kanye did the Chazali Tigores. That the president that the Suzuki Sanya down Joyo Chadikwa, because a place based education jura, didn't do Chagua.
Okay, so now you've come back, you've had time to think about what your role is, what data you have, and so we have the opportunity to try to understand the different perspectives.
Susugi Nit Karimba Susula Lingan Kario Pacha Mate, that Susata Chongores, that Tandanga Sukarchigresena, Nakuso, that Cheki Pashenda, Kosuga, Gonsakareka into death diagokatians.
So you will find that there's the pastoralist in each group, and they obviously are not in favor of changing their lifestyle.
That under the Nachisugi, Rokasusuna, and Ropayores, Ropandi Bana, Kosugi, Chigi Samsi Bana, Kosugi Chitsua Rotontela, and Juran Tanji Tuguyo Mares.
There are two individuals in each group, the policymaker and the farmer, that may believe that there's benefit of removing the nomads from their land.
Da yang di na la su din su na na cheki panyi da chi de ka re se na sichu su ni de da shen ba de shingba ko su ba na da ropa ko su sa sa ne ne por chi ba na ne chi che ba na ko su la ya ke phen yo re se din da sam se de yo re.
And there are two individuals who may believe that keeping the nomads on their land is beneficial. For the tourism operator, they're thinking about it economically, and then for the scientists, they're thinking about the plant diversity.
Da shen da ba na chin ro ba ko su sa san ne mut de ne ba ba na yang ke phen yo re se gi yang ko a che ki den chen yo re ti ga re se na ne karsa te yeko tunchem cheli nyen khan da ani san ru ba de re sta yeko tunchem kuchu nyani bana tus de ba bana kuchu la penjo ki chane pen ko re sa go res ani chani pa kuchu bana tus de ba bana ani tsing gi na chukra ji warwa oti met to chini chala tus peng du se kuchu samch de res.
So again, just to remind you, the question, I'll go back to the, I think I have this. The question that you are trying to answer is, should the pastoralists be removed from their historic grazing lands? And how will the impact of climate change be affected by the removal or the persistence of the pastoralists from their grazing land?
Da de ka se chu la ya len the ba che ge drewa de yang se tan su tang ga yin tang bo de ani robat khusu ne khusu ge chas sa tan ma ko re ne pu chi gu re chi gu ma re se chi che ani ba de ka re se na ani roba khusu ani method ne ba ta ya na ne pu che ba de la ten de de nam shigin juto te la ya ani shichen ka re te re.
So I'd like you to take about 15-20 minutes to discuss this in your group. We will walk around and see how the groups are doing. If any of the expert groups feel like they need to return to their expert groups to confer with them again, then let us know. We will stop the discussion. We will give experts a chance to go and confer with their co-experts and then return to the home group.
Da na ga zo kama chunga ni shi chikna la ya ani su din sin su na da tu de jiro che is to ande ta ko la ro yang ke ti to tu de chi de ta ala ta na yang sha nga yang su ge che ki ge din sin de na ro de ta don da kha shi chi se u zu gu du se ge de ta de chong ba na ya nga su ge che ki ge din sin de la ya yang she lo chi de ta ya su ge tu de ti na ko ko te ge yes.
And so from a perspective of a teacher, this is important. Some students may need to go back and review the information. Some students may already understand the information. So we need to assess where the students are.
Da de gigen chi bichani ke chambu cha go lo ka shin ba na tang po ne ta ko te ba tang ha ko ten de yores ka shin ba na ha ma ko yang che yang ko ni tang te ta ka se zu go ge ni tang te chong maybe like 20 or 25 minutes because 5 people need to explain.
That's why I was thinking like maybe 5 after 11. I'll just check in and see how people are doing for 20 minutes. And if you don't need to return to your expert group, then you can continue talking. But I will just come around and see how, if you need a break to talk to the other experts.
Da kama ni shu chikna la ya ne che su da din su na ne dan de she ja chi te ko la tu de chiro ches ne ba ro de la ga du su yon chi ta gi yes ne ke te ya che su cheki ge densen susula phalo che tu de chigune chigre chu magubai na aya ne ta 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 chi yes ne kama nishina la ya ne rande gi chobate na tele ne de ko tu de chiroches.
I'm going to ask you to try one thing that we didn't talk about, but I think all of you are future science teachers or you are currently science teachers, and you need to encourage your students to practice writing. During the discussion and listening to other people, I would like you to take your notebook out or write on the computer, just write down some points so that you are practicing writing, and then you can make an informed decision using your notes.
Da chizo khachine da ni sari zata gi genangore da khachine da mau balaya da chama du sari gi genangor was da dela yangarang chi kuma che te kan yesena sotu chula ya sinti ya gi chi kuma che chiwarwa da da che chu mane dite ga tina de do yana lola ga tina de gores da mi jende ge deshe jaun sta balaya de samwa sinti la bab Ani sentila pub de thamatela ya ni thachis tambala ya sentinga pub sha ju to te samala chita ani dus ta thachege ne ta chung gres ni tambala ya ni se su ge senti ji dus na ches.
Okay? All right, so go ahead and you can have your discussion. Oh.
Google Classroom na share da. Google Slide de sama pagi na share.
So ya da unzi na ro chesa. Hey, let's start.
Oh, yeah.
La yang che lo de ta yang ni se tin da khase zu go ya gi tin da do yo pai na me gar su su se go tro tin da go ni yo pai ma na la ba ya cha ro che sa.
Okay, if it's just a couple of pastoralist, what is your position? Scientist and farmer. Okay, so one thing we can do is there's two things that we can do. Either everybody goes back to the expert group, or you just find one other person from your expert group and just ask them. Since there are only 3 of you, what I will suggest is that you stand up, go to another table and see who there has the same role, and just you can talk to them. I'll also walk around and help you.
Tanda jitan ni yo res wa chi ba na nga so mi cha ma su su ge ya tang po cheli gi den sen ten ro chi tu de chin de kores ni ba tim ba na tanda mi mang bo me do me kha shi ching ma shi me do as ne dok si jen da chi lan do ani su su ta da cheli chi pa yin ju ge mi tu nyam tu de chin de ge tem se nga du si yon de chi chu de shi ja ro chi gos.
So please remember, as a teacher, we need to check in with the students. If somebody is lost, then they will continue to feel lost. So we should stop, ask, do you need some guidance, and then help them so they can return to the activity.
Da gigen chim bi chane de samlo na nge gu yo res ke ti lo pri chi ki ta ton ton go mas ke de be to go thom de yo ba na ni cham sha che yang che da ko la de shi ja ga wala kha se ju gu de zu de ta yang che mate de de chi gu re ma to be gu thom de yo ba ne sha sha na gu thom chi de de res.
And there's no reason to feel bad if you need a little more help. So that as a teacher, you want to encourage the students saying, I need a little more guidance.
Ya kete yang chi khase zu gu tang de na do yo pa ba ne te samba chu gu ge ne tang de na do yo ma chi gu ma res gi gen chi mi chan ne yang ha ma ko ba na ha ko mandu li twa tria tang zu la yang klong chi gu yo res.
So they can return to work.
Da su ane mathil leka chiro ches ane gela du siong che ropa gugun du sa tu la ya ropa chi ge mais. Da de pela ya setap thomong ga setap nye chu go khati na yo esa. Thomong ge setap nye chu chi go wa. Compromise na khashi go lo tang chi chi go ra da nyam ru go 20 chi tang go ra da. Ji tu sna la ba cha ro che sa. And no, look like everybody's still arguing.
Still arguing. Okay. Did any of the groups, how many individuals or groups decided that the pastoralists should be removed from their grazing land?
Ta den sen na de go gari na de du chechu na ne swa dropat ju kutsu sa 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 thane mara ni po gugundu sanyesis lava jarochis.
It's okay, you can raise your hand if are you a government official? So let me rephrase this. How many policymakers changed their mind, or did they still believe that the pastoralists should be removed? Raise your hand if you're a policymaker and you think that they should be removed.
Ta tambo tro ta che ta tis ga la pa ya tan to ma cha. Che chu ro se chu zu ni ba kan shi la ro ta no in ba na ta do pa chu sa sin ma ne po chi gun du mo ni yes la pa ya la cha ro che sa.
Yeah. Raise your
She.
Okay.
4.
So that means some policymakers changed their mind?
That team by now, the situation you catch you so something you was.
They need, okay. Okay. So maybe, so you can see that this is a little bit challenging. Noan, you had your hand up. Did you have a question? Okay, you have a compromise.
당아주 다스 디르다 양디 소소기 랭게고 나 신신 삼로당에 제외 계절이다로 단다 조당아주 단다 디르도 디 시주 수행해 줘라 디기 이는 마 차시지 키용으로 더 김전 가시 당도 김전 가시 당조들 체리기 공개 직식이라 시 아니 도배기 두개지 따도 아니 디 가서 디 candy yugur de chinge dige yang konzo chik jumje shigdo singbal da mixe khatu shiras she medoro singbal chu cho bos ko la mado la mendo ta ine ngazur ge kharchir la na ludo digni ta konzo ge tanda ine ma de policy maker ge she dila ani kharsure ta sayade 망차리 경기 아니 맞아 디 고유 냠차 두고도 라이저라 딜라는 맞아 적바도 챌린지스로 때 심진디스 뉴로 당기 인사 혼조 아니 릴라다 메토르도 라이스도 디 딜라 아니 투리스트 니 적바 콘스 니가게 아니 디니아 추땅 조조던데 자저 정정 콘스 땅에 쳐서 아니 슝기 자저 디 땅기 인사 자저 딘주 땅에 쳐서 아니 싱바게 samudang lasrada odre chine dang azu khanda drop mo che drop anta de che ani situ de test do tan ko yan do che che
Yeah, that's a compromise because the policymaker have a plan and they have explanation why it need to be removed. But one is come to like the explanation and the concerns that the nomads have or the tourist groups have, the tree operators have. When we compromise, we decided the nomads don't need to be removed, but they have agreed to reduce their animals, and also the others have compromised to just contribute to have more water supplies on the mountains so that it can grow well. And for the farmers, they don't have much to say other than just the water is getting dirty and now it's good down the streams.
Okay. So this was an example of a compromise. Are there any other groups that found some small compromise?
That deep tandagi ko kasure that thamigi trichu chonga chigor wa that khasilu tongo salu tong chitu de chide ta thochu chege than ta chire se shenda tinda la ya rokhana la tinda chonga sa sa
pena ngansun diri chusura ani au ale moda
I got this. Yeah, just gonna go.
The policy maker the test dir do ngazo chira ngazo tambo di chashi tambo di
chalo yo dinga sha shne ya
laso the karzo mangyu ta ya de chisro ene mangyu ta ya de tanda kunde ta la do kunde ta dikhe la ro chim do ani de chine ta ngazo yosho lo ya mewa che ani ngazo pa zo kusap che jora odi che chiso.
All right. Initially we go for democratic elections because the officials are really hard-minded and they don't want to go for like a majority decision. That's why we just compromised and just within us to make that solution.
Okay, good. So this is an example where maybe different groups tried to find the solution in different ways. Now, yeah, go ahead.
They young person chires young ko Tenzin susuge tablan tindal hatch or wa they young ko have to mando pechotang yo big Tenzin chires.
So let me ask another question. We have invited you to the conference and there are only 5 expert groups. When I was walking around and talking to different groups, you started asking about other questions, right? I would like to know, just take a minute or two in your group, and if you had to, for next year's conference, I will invite you again to next year's conference, which other expert groups should be invited to the conference so that we can have an even more complete picture of this socio-scientific issue.
Ta tandage chicho tangdewi tserikane tondela ya dendin chia de ani cheki pagi dinsna ngas tu chicha yores tani tan chichu dinsin susu nane kama ni special tangde to tudjiro chis ta jemala ya chichu yangche dus chonda de kola ya dendin cheba imbaina ninga chula cha chang wage nisu chi ragai che to ani cheki pa jenda cheki pagi dinsin jenda susu chi ke tangusare chonda de la o te kola tudjiro chis.
So just take a couple of minutes in your group, and then I'll solicit the responses from the whole class.
Ane kama khasi chila te ko tu de chiro ches ane ti jila nyam tu de che yes.
Okay, conference attendees, if I don't stop you, you will keep talking about this.
Oh, hello. Hello. That's some shaggy masina, but the promo is the drill shasta.
Okay, good. That was fast. Okay, what are some ideas of who we should invite to the conference next year?
Da lojima ga suge tendish gua lojima wa tendish ga cheki pa jenda susudus.
Tangis tinse group chena so panjor bawa. Chile pashinge par ketang.
An economist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ane tini shion da region tini chile pa son jupta su jing yore tiro tini gang le chenge pashin. O dino. Te kare sana tanda nga sunda bayo tiri chile pa su ga tonda tum kere chadu dus. Te mai ba kansa simba ge chotu shi. Ta pegi rang le ya. Ti ngoni ko du mu ko mu du se kansa simba le shikta thona. Ne o yon seres.
Nganzu di chenan di. Hello.
Yes, okay, so it sounds like an economist, educational specialist, but then somebody who is independent from this whole issue. Because everybody, this table was saying that all of the expert groups have their own agenda, their own perspective. So having somebody who is a little bit removed from this.
Tadanda de la yakusu swana se ronga su penjer rupa wache ani shuyang te la yak cheki bache ani tanda de yoni ke dende shya ge ngacha te su la ya chi kipen tang de yoni changcha re do ate stambala ya denda tan dewa men ji chlong ne ta kansa sambach ku ngu ga ne tan cha chang la ta thin chi gu ndu sir.
Okay.
ngazo gro chena tinse baji dende shigus.
We need a lawyer.
A lawyer. Okay.
Or
Well, but
maybe a
somebody,
judge. Maybe a judge.
maybe somebody who understands some of the legal perspectives, okay, and understanding policy, but not a policy maker. Yeah.
Ngazu choban ro yimba na.
Who else is here?
Ngazu choban ro yimba na. Tandagi da nangmani surjingi tanda roli ni dinda kangashi gdo. Ti mai indu roli ni.
A modern nomad?
Tendugi dan roli ni yora. O dinda gi mina ji kitana ya budus. Teni namshin jerdo kurang ko la chili gi mina dinda kitana ya budus.
Climate change scientist and
Yes.
also like someone who is expert in modernizing the nomadic lives in other
Okay.
countries.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
maybe,
who are used to modernizing the nomadic.
okay, modernize, so I'm wondering maybe an anthropologist or an
No, maybe who nomads?
oh, who are nomads
Nomads,
themselves?
but modern nomads.
Modern nomads themselves, who can offer a different perspective.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
people who bring that understanding of that culture, but who have moved and can contribute to the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that table, there is, go ahead.
Nganzu dinda, nganzu gi pena chashana
the Sajiri Bachele in the Yorba. Tunzugi, the geologist, Penachashana, Concharum, the Chik Sashi, Nedanda, and Tunzugi, Rimba the Kandit Penachashana, Anzu, Tanda, any Yellow River, the Manu Yorba. The Tunzu, you want the Eugene Kalchini Yungu, or Tunzu told and the city of Tunge, Yabujana Yabuyos Arresta, and the Nedan Sama Chichim, but singing Chiche. Tene di khan ya da misi gi da gen lewa da do re da chin kuyu gi thole ya chele shi ding yor ba te da chik che ani tham du di khan ya kinwi gi thola tam busin da phige gi socha da chising da di puru gi dewa shujin khare ka ding thole ya chele yor ba o tin de yuna ya go sar sam dus
A geologist who can study what's really happening with all this stuff, because you said the Yellow River, the water is becoming less, but and see what is the effect of it, and also like Lapa mentioned, environmentalists, and also we need someone who can study the relationship with the animals and the plants in this areas.
Yes, so an ecologist who maybe understands, who is studying the abiotic variables along with animal-plant interactions, and also a geologist. I heard maybe 3 different tables talked about why is it that the lake is increasing but the rivers are decreasing, and some of the tables found answers about the rate of the melting might explain this. So we need a geologist who can help us understand this water, the rate of melting and where that water is going.
That is ngasuge ta khori tela nebe ge chiden ta chiden maim be ge ta chi mambu yor ware mare tisula ya ani takshe chini ge chandu pa cheli ki pa go yor estim sebi ta da khachila dus tambala ya ani ta charom de shashu go yor es charom shiba de chugna ru lag do as yo sambona ru go malago jinse kare jine res go wa de khashish ki bana ko shuya ge nyurse chorwa tela ragle reseg dus ta din stambala ya tela ya khiba yo chuge yang asu sankham ribaba yorwa o tinda dawen go dus.
One last suggestion. Go ahead.
La so de nge de tani gen ko sung man ji jabo chidan thanda phe ko she de ga jana shuna jabo do athegar jana shuna jabo de ga so ani jana shuna jabo de ga so jana shungi ani ngele ba 이나리 잡료에 betone 남시당 고유 돌아 아니 체계 받는다 코드 자나 슝랑 잡료에 받는다 어디나 지고도
자나 정게 잡지 요죠
잡료 예비 응엘레 예비 아니 남시당 고유 돌아 체계 받는다 지고도
yeah, because we want to talk about Tibetan plateau is always under the Chinese policy, so we need someone who is expert in climate change and environmental science, that who someone that the Chinese government accept.
Right. Yes. So the reason these are all excellent suggestions, and the reason why we wanted you to experience this activity is to understand the complexity of some issues that are socio-scientific issues.
Tanda de la ya chechu gonso sona sama pe ya godus ro tanda de la ngasu dina do chi dug ya ga jensen de kare sena ngasu chechu tan de bi chen kana ton chi yo pa bana kho nyong jang chau ani te me se pi ko la ya chi thocho chi la ya chi tucha mampu chi la ya ra le gi yo pa ti to ga chi tu yes.
This is an example of inquiry mindset teaching, because we started with questions, you started answering those questions, and then you ended with more questions.
That day me se de yang kari pisun chi chagore se na ngasu gun dise ani lhopsu yor wan dise gi shi jong tan rewe gi ani lhomse thetaw gi pisun chi chagores ngasu ge tampong go chiga de troa chine go chi de tanga su len se ge ndo ne thama ma le stambala ya troa chi man ru sha yores din stambala inde yang dise gi samlu che su tan rewe lhomse thetaw chi chagores.
So sometimes we teach science by teaching some facts, and students memorize it, and then they forget it. But what we were trying to model is trying to use that information. All of you were so engaged in reading the graphs to try to answer this complex question and think deeply. If you think about Bloom's taxonomy, you were all at the top of Bloom's taxonomy trying to understand this issue.
that nga su go channel concentric ka su chan samai ba na nga su go chi dongi dang tangka dang de dang thu de ro ching de shi chi ja ane te nga cho chi dang ane te ji le tempa je do de yo res ta da nai ba na nga su ge chi trader dang de chi stam che su saman zu shi pe ya pu chi sons ne to mang pu chi gang la yi ship chi yo res wa ne stam ba lai tan da nga su ge chi ya ge chi tap de ane nga su blum ge yidur pa ge samlu tang tang ta shisha ge che ge nibab chi yo wa o tuzula samlu ti gi theni samlu tang ba ma na tan da nga su ge dribya tang nyamchi chia tang samla tang de sama ane ku ge che thushi to ala lhedgi yores.
You were deeply engaged. I did not stand here the whole time for sessions 1 and 2 lecturing from PowerPoint. Instead, you were all at your group reading these graphs and trying to solve the problem on your own.
Ta tanda nga su sotan tang po tang ja ni she ka su chi ji pe ya puna so se ngai mai na do la de tan sotan cha la ya tam she chi yo ma res chin che su din sen ngo ne ane chi ni se ka ri ko to che sha thir ka to chi ka ri te she te gang la ya su su ane long de che tang twitter che tang te gang la ji shi ya pu chi na yo res.
So as future or current science teachers, you need to decide what type of teacher you want to be. Is your goal to help students memorize facts? Or is your goal to help students become deep critical thinkers?
Da che su maung bala ya chene gi gen cha ge ye zang ane che su dang bon ne sam lu dang de maung bala ya che rang ane chi da tang ka tang chi deng wi yo ro deng wi te sha ja de she ja ni ge ane gi gen chi cha ge imbe ina yang thop tri cha ma chi ta nga su de se ge sam lu tang dan ba ro da sam lu te ji shep ge sam lu tang ta tok she se ro da tok che chi nya sam lu tang ni ge thop tri ding khen ge gi gen chi ge imbe de su su tha che gu yo res.
Do you want to be a teacher who is talking at your students, or are you a teacher who's guiding them on the side?
Ta chorang ba na gi gen chi katim ba na lhopri la ke cha sha ja she ni chi ji gin be yang na ne lhopri chu ko le gu yo pe te la ya lam tun chi de tan thin du ni chi gin be.
Okay, so I think we've had a full, deep morning. We have not resolved the question about whether the pastoralists should be removed from the Tibetan plateau or not. I think if we ask the policymakers to leave, then we might have some solution. I think everybody else decided that the pastoralists should be able to stay on the Tibetan plateau. But in reality, we have government officials with whom we must interact, right?
Da danda chota ni de la ya pe che chu da rolang tang samlo tang ati ting sa bu shu chong song sta ko thire lo la so pa gro ane danda im ba na dando im ba na ga su de ji ga ro pa tu sa sa ga ne pu gu ji gun du mu du se de thama ga tha chi chi yo ma re swa ke te ga su ga ne si chi zu ni kan za kham pa na ma pi sha ba na da ga su ma me ga ne dim ri chi he le gre sim ba na tong is tin da ma re ga su jong ga le ka chi ne tu la ya ka tim ba na tun chi de tan yam le ga ne le ka du gu yo res.
At the very least, I hope that Tenzin and I have motivated you to try to understand climate change, because it's not part of the ETSI curriculum, but is very much affecting that whole area of Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan. That whole area along the Himalayas is affected by climate change. So I hope that we've motivated you to try to learn more about it.
Da danda gen Tenzin tangara ni ge de namshi ge jirdok ko gol honsen de thia jinsen chi karin se na de khyung go jinsen chi karin se na danda emer to poch thenri le rang ge ane ko ge lap shi na la ya namshi jirdok ko te le yo mares da danda Istanbul ya namshi ge jirdok te da kula shul yo pakang sila danda da pe ta lada ta da Himachal ta du ta sa che mampu chi la ya ane ko shichin the de pares tin Istanbul ya de la tene de ta che su ge namshi jirdok ko la ya chi Okay,
here's my last question, but don't raise your hand all over like this. If you think you might teach a jigsaw activity, put your thumb up like this, not like this, like this. If you think maybe you would teach it, sideways. If you think you will not teach it because it's too difficult to teach, then put your thumb down.
That was thank yes. Labate chas is taba kanja manjo tene khense tene cha mayos tata cha roches ra mao balaya ludri ki chegun tene do unjana peshu tang thiki yes ana labat du si roches chi chi na chi yes na do si roches Kalikapo Shuchido Chigame Lana Dosiro Chesa. Yeah, that about Joshua, changes up.
Okay, some sideways and many up, but nobody down. So it takes a lot of time to prepare an activity like this. It takes a lot of time to manage the class. You may end up only doing this when you're a confident teacher, but I encourage you to do this at least once.
That ya tenye mambudus patege konye ostus bet ma tenye mindus roa ta chigi bana dinando chegu pet tradik chala shungo grace intimse ane kun zindana ne yang tangze chaya shungo grace roa andistambala ya intimse ku dinando chithiala ya ta nyamno chembu sa chi gigi yabu chabu kapse thiala tabdu yorta imbaina ya chesu gi chi dinando chi pesho taya la roa ane ariwat chigi yes.
So when we return in the afternoon session, we have one more instructional strategy that we would like to teach you. It will be, I think, hopefully fun, which is a fishbowl activity. So we will do that in the afternoon, and then we will gather some information from you to help us make the final adjustments on the pedagogy manual.
Tanda nga su nyongkong jabla sun zongkorwa ti kapsa nga su lotru chiya ge tablan yang shenda chi kola ngutro chi ge ti milaya fishbowl sigre fishbowl nyag por nyapor nyaz se go por do chire ta tina do ge chi pizgi chi or ti konde se ja ge din stambala ya nga su riwati kari sen nga su che gundi trebala ten de te ani tanda nga su de laktep chi gorwa thotri pe laktep chi gorwa dig kola ya ne chesu sane samsita gonsate kama chi dus thobi ge riwachi ge yes.
So tomorrow is the last day, and often people have exams, but for some subject areas you don't need final examination, and in this class we would like you to use that time to make final edits or additional edits or expansion of your lesson plans.
Ta sanya nga sun lotan de chwa ge ro nima thamate chago yores ro ne mambo chila ya jikto ta te ore de imbaina de la ya jikto ta ya meju gul hom sintina do re ta ta de ro imbaina tange yo maris ta ti ge jikto ge chap to ta te karin sena ne chesu gul hom sen thia gul habs chi jungo chi yorwa jungo chi sha ju gul hom sin te la ya ani thamage shita ta re khano jagare zuchi jagala sopa chi yorwa yerje ta ge chi yorwa oti ne sanye ge tu de la na yes.
Do you want to say anything else? Okay, yeah.
아니 디츠에 단단한 저기 제기 루가기 제고기 릭직을 루가날 제기 제고직데 아니 남경아서 세리가 다제가 나리 루가기 내가 지고 와. 또 망고지 가서 가르치면서 루가 내가 지도 선바 루가날 미수면은 미직이 차상 제도고요나 근데 루가를 내가 차고 말다. 또 드링기 넘버 저기 제대 제고 싶다. 미 차상면은 그 타주 제도 말와. 저 미래리야 니주 차라바레레요라. 지금 넘버 저기다 루가기 다 제고된데 가르치고 있네. 미지기 제도에 되려나 누구가 내가 차고 말했어. 디슈에 rol라. 아니 디 차시팅 메카블이 미 창맥이 튕규 제고에기 차시팅 로셨어. 창맥이 인념도 제고해줘 봐. 아니 미직 매버이나 누가기 리주 제고디 제모도 외시. 전다디 누가기 레규데 빼베카블이 나머지기 선보다 갑종기 선보다 난 직디 차고도 나. 시 망고지 인데 제기도 누가날 지게 인슬 아니 미시에나 미지기 차산 제로도 디 제외는 루가기 다 넘버서 루비 징게 징네네 아니 루가기 제고 지배나 그리고 다 제고 딕당디 다 다다시 돼요 말. 노소.
Yeah, there was not a single person who was quiet in here. You were all participating. You did a really wonderful job. Thank you.
제정마 송스로 제스는데 참은지 시야부나 송스 빼야부두스.
Maybe one thing about 상이기 다 로젠 타마저라 탑산디 타마들리 가르스나 단데 넘어서기 롭제 근데 스웨디어라 레슨 플랜치 디 스웨시 아니 달 가지만 저기 이응아 된다 되게 차선 라빈바 다담부저 거리 교 단계는 땅시 안타마들이야 대소소소 구르가레리 프레젠테이션 제고 거다 디 장갈이야 다 강도 차트 페이퍼 된다 남부저 표기로 빛날이야 슈구 자르세 아니 다 미규 가리임바 아니 제고 가리가리 지기임바 70 가리 지기임바 아니 파워포인트 가리가리 동기만 되게 차선 튀고 거다 다디 차상 땐데 기기 말아 다 가져 단다보도 넘어서기 수여셔가 저러 딜리에 야게 땅체 셔게 튜잉이는 걸 넘어서 야게 땅에게 고가 위어래 타마딜리에 넘어서기 다 디시 제고 거대 That's all.
Yeah.
So we will see you at 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.